All right. All right. Look like we live and up and running on this wonderful Sunday, May the 3rd. What's going
Mhm.
on, Dan? How you doing today?
I am doing all right, man. How you doing?
Good. As you can see, I seem to be a little hype. Sorry if I'm coming across kind of loud. So
It's
I'm
all
sorry
right.
to introduce myself
Sorry.
first. Carl, better known as Cool C. It's Athena Protection Services. We coming to you, as I said, this nice, beautiful evening of May the 3rd. Got some big things coming up this month. You and I both being May babies, so some
hmm
great. But before we get in all of that, man, how you doing today?
I'm doing all right, man. I kind of took the day off today. I sat around and did a lot of nothing, leading up to us doing this. I was in the yard the last couple of days, so it's just me taking time to, relax today and take it easy.
Get out there and try to squeeze that in. My yard is in desperate need of it took the coronavirus off too, so it needs to get back up and running.
Right.
Feel you on that, man.
Yeah.
So hey, good to hear you was able to get out there. We need that vitamin D,
hmm
literally, on our skin. Make sure you put your sunblock on or wear a hat when you're out there. I'm sure you all probably heard it before, but just we've been in the house so long, probably even more important right now. Make sure you're
Right.
covering up and putting on some type of protection. But get out there, most definitely enjoy this sunlight. It's a beautiful thing. But as we get ready to get started here, man, let's tell our listeners, which by the way, we was up significantly on our last podcast. So people are starting to tune in, which is a great thing.
I
So with that,
appreciate that. And thank you to everybody out there that listen and watch and talk to us in the comment section and, uh, send us a lot of love. It's definitely appreciated.
absolutely. We really do. That's coming from the heart. So with that being said, let's tell everybody how they can get in touch with us.
Well, we are Athena Protection Service, and you can get in touch with us on any social media platform at Athena Protection Service. You can reach us on our website at athenaprotections.com, or you can reach us on our 1-800 number at 800-951-4866. That's 1-800-951-4866 for any security services that you may need.
Awesome. So and make sure, like you said, hit that like button and that share button if you taking advantage of checking us out on those platforms.
hmm
So what you got going on today, Dan?
Today, I see our corona numbers are still high. So I've been taking a look at, the different numbers that we've been getting in Michigan in particular, since that's where we are. That's what I'm interested in seeing. I see today, as far as new cases go, we have 547 new cases. Yesterday was 851 new cases, so we still high. Last week, we hit a low of 432, and then during this week, we jumped right back up into the high 800s or high thousands or low thousands, like 1100, 900, numbers like that. So it's still up and down. I don't feel like we really safe yet. We
Absolutely.
haven't hit our lows. Again, like last week, we had a low daily death rate of about 41. That was on the 26th of April. But again, those numbers jumped up as high as 160 on the 28th. Today, we are looking at just 29. It's on the low end, but we'll see what it looked like next week. Yesterday, we had 154 people pass away. I think what we need to get away from, at least when we talking about these numbers, is understanding that these numbers are people and they're not just numbers. And I think we get a little bit desensitized by talking about numbers. These are families, these are mothers and fathers, sisters, brothers, husbands,
Absolutely.
wives. And we need to keep that in mind when we talk about these things, that this is affecting people's lives and their livelihood, and people are suffering tremendously from loss from the coronavirus. So I want to not get too much into the habit of just spewing out numbers without addressing the fact that these are people and not just numbers that we talking
Exactly.
about.
And if I could jump in there for a quick second, just to add on that, when we think about it, how, yes, these are individuals, and you're right. People say the number, and we equate it to just that. But not only are we dealing with people, but we're dealing with people who have family members that can't uh, have that closure with that person that they lost like we normally would. There is
Right.
no funeral, there is no repast and any of those things, especially within our culture and our community, that we're accustomed to being able to do with that loved one when we lose them. It's kind of like
Mm-hmm.
they just gone, and if you hadn't seen them, you don't see them again. It's tough. So
Right.
most definitely, I can agree with you. That we got to look at it in that sense, not just to have a pity party, as we say, we're talking about people, but to really try to stay safe
Mm-hmm.
and try to continue to wait this out. I
Right.
think it's a hoax, then it'll come to pass at some point. So hoax at home.
Yeah, I see a lot of people posting about different things, different conspiracy theories that they think, and my thing about that is you have every right to not trust the government. I mean, that's your opinion. You got that freedom. My only issue with those are to consider the source of the information or where you're getting this information from. Memes are not valid sources of information.
I know
Uh,
that's right.
if the
I
site,
love news.
me too. Anybody that know me know I share my fair share of memes, but
Absolutely.
uh, yeah, that's not valid information. Um, Also, I think that people need to understand that satire websites, there are websites dedicated to posting false information. It posts misleading information politically through the government or whatever the case may be. These people make money off of driving traffic onto those fake stories, which generally are, comical in nature or just misinformation, period, towards one party or another, or towards a conspiracy theory or something of that nature. Make sure where you're getting your information from is a solid, reputable source if you're going to pass it on to other people. Don't just look at headlines. Take a look at the story. Do a little bit of investigation. Do a little bit of homework, and maybe you will see a little bit of truth behind the story that was posted. That's just my little
Absolutely.
soapbox on uh, the conspiracy theories and things like that are out there. And I mean, it's in a way, it's disrespectful to the people who are losing people during this pandemic. So just be mindful of what you say and what you do, because there are people, again, there's people out here that's hurting from these circumstances.
Right. Great point you bring up. And hey, don't worry about being on your soapbox. Our viewers, I've seen some of the feedback. They love to hear from you. So great point. And we kind of got off a little bit, but you were
Uh,
saying you wanted to get into a topic today. Let's talk about it a little bit.
okay, so I wanted to discuss crime rates in the city of Detroit. Now, we are known for uh, a lot of things. We are the motor city. We the motor, automotive capital of the world. We got our own little delicacies that we enjoy, like our Fagos and little things like that. But we are also known for our crime and criminal activity that take place in this city. And although the crime rate is down a little bit because of the pandemic, I think once we start to get out and interact with each other and be around each other, spending money and things like that, we are going to see that crime rate go back up.
Interesting.
So, unfortunately, people are still getting shot in the pandemic. Uh, that's not stopping people from shooting each other or
What
uh,
do you think's causing that, if you don't mind me interrupting for a second, just in your opinion?
the shootings. Probably mostly, if it's not a crime, of opportunity for people that are out working or traveling back and forth, my guess would be that is domestic in nature, people being around each other constantly, aggravation, people are aggravated, patience is low. So
Okay.
assault is the highest crime that's going on right now uh, in this city. So that is our biggest issue that we have happening in the city of Detroit is
Interesting.
uh, aggravated assault.
Excuse me.
So I mean, and then followed by that would be robberies. So
Okay.
I'm looking at some data here between the February 24th and March 23rd. There were 62 people that got robbed. And then during the last month, it was 63 people. So robbery has been steady. Um, assaults has been steady. Sexual assault, we've had 17
Wow.
in the last month. Then the month prior to that, there was 26. And then homicides obviously are still happening, but we still have these non-fatal shootings going on in the city. Some of which that I've saw were domestic related, but some of them are not. Like you brought up a situation where um, a man was assaulted and shot trying to bring a date to his house from the internet. So, you know, these things are still happening, and people need to be cautious of that. But
Right,
once
because
we, yeah, go ahead.
there's a industry that we know doesn't stop no matter what, and that's going to be your sex and your illegal drugs and things of that nature. You know, those things are still going to happen because those are things that people can't live without. So some things to come to mind is illegal parties with adult dancers
Hmm.
coming in, things of that nature, your gambling parties and
Hmm.
stuff like that, where people are still interacting because of those strong desires to be a part of those environments for, like I said, many reasons. One of the big ones being the drugs,
Right,
uh, which is again causing people to be around each other without practicing any type of safety measures,
right.
which is, you know, twofold. You know, those things bring you crime as well as could be a big part of these numbers because as we know, this is, you know, you can go to the party and you can bring it home. You know, it's
Hmm.
kind of like with raid. You know, you spray raid around your house to get rid of your ants and roaches. Part of the way the product works is it takes the product back to the nest.
Right.
People got to understand that's what you're doing. So please be careful. But as you were saying, I'm sorry to cut you off. We were talking more about the
That's
crime,
that's
preparing
that's
for
cool. You
it.
you just compared the coronavirus to raid. That's something else.
Hey man, that's what it feels like.
Yeah,
But you was just saying, you know, with
yeah.
people back out and trying to spend money and move around, just some things you think that they can do, you know, almost kind of what we talk about typically going into the holiday season.
Right.
Just being so excited to be out. What are some things they can do to stay safe
I
as they
think
start back coming out?
one of the things we always can do to stay safe is to stay at home. And then if you do have to
First
go
thing,
out, don't be out late alone. Don't get gas late or anytime alone if it's early or if it's really late at night. If you see people hanging out or just standing around and not looking like they supposed to be there, then steer clear of those particular areas because you don't want to make yourself a victim because of just of you having or doing something that you needed to do anyway. Be mindful of your surroundings and where you are because people are waiting on you because you are how they eat. So, you know, the criminals are at home, they taking a financial hit as well. And when you go out there, they can't wait to take your car or take your money or whatever the case may be. So you need to be mindful of that, that there's people out here, they get money off of the law abiding citizens. And people are not out. So when you do go out, they're going to take advantage of those opportunities.
True, that's important to get that message out there.
Now, as far as businesses, I think that those cash incentive businesses, when they open back up, we're gonna start. We may see issues like your barbershops, your hair salons, your nail salons, where people pay a lot of cash. Um, the criminals know that people pay cash in those places because they frequent those places as well.
Right.
And that's an opportunity for them to not only get the barber but to get the customer as well. It's a one-stop shop. So when we start going out to these places, be mindful of who's in there, what's going on, especially if it's a barber shop or a hair salon that you frequent. Just be careful and mindful of what's going on getting to and from your car. I don't know what the parking circle, parking is different everywhere, so that's something to be
Exactly.
mindful of as well. uh, when you getting in and out of your car, going into these different places, people know that you got money. When we get back out there, people are going to know that we have money on us and we out there to take care of business, and they out there to take care of business too. So make sure
Another great point.
that you're ready for something like that if it may come up. Be prepared.
That's so true.
So I'm hearing, or I'm looking in the comments. Candace asking about STDs and nursing homes. I don't know if you got family in nursing homes, and uh, call them, talk to them, and uh, I would say to keep in touch with them. Since you can't be in there all the time, you should have your favorite employee at that nursing home that you can call at any time, to get in touch with your loved ones. You should have some connections. If your family is in a nursing home, I think that you should have connections in there where you can get in touch with them at any time to make sure that they are always safe. I understand that that's a vulnerable population and things happen to them a lot, that we don't discuss too much. But
Right.
I think that what's really important is knowing who is on shift, talking to your family often and making sure that they are safe and being treated fairly while they're in these facilities. And also we got to consider it's a shortage in these facilities. People are not coming to work. Some people are sick. They don't have the
Exactly.
proper protection that they need. So you may not know who's in there on shift that night or who's coming in or what the hiring practices are like because of staff shortages. So that's something to consider and to stay on top of if you got family in those places.
Hey, and let's keep it real. Send some condoms over there to them. They still doing their thing.
Right.
And
Yeah, I mean
they
they
in there
could be
with the
giving it
same
to each
people.
other.
So most definitely, and I don't mean that in a joking manner. Just being 100% real. It's going down in there, so let's not forget about those safety precautions. If you, not if, bottom line is, if they together like they are, they will. So
Hmm.
the thing to think about. So another good point. I like it.
Right.
Uh, we do got really, and for people who don't, you brought up a point that really stuck out to me, and just want to really touch on that. Uh, you talked about being in communication and building those relationships with the staff there. Man, that is so important. And so many times you want to go in there. I just tell people, you an emotional situation with your family member happen to be in there. Just make sure that you try to step back and look at the people that are there 24/7 dealing with your family members and cutting them some slack. Don't be so abrasive in how you voice your concerns, and still try to have that relationship where if something was said or done that you didn't appreciate, figure out a way to get past that and keep those people in your thoughts when are, want to snap at somebody. They trying to do that. They trying to take care of your loved one and be concerned about, taking some home to their family. So in other words, just cut them some slack, instead of getting into that altercation, be the bigger person because they're the ones that's watching your family members. and build those relationships, and not just for now, but just in general when you have people that you need to depend on to watch your loved ones, because unfortunately you're not able to for whatever reason.
Now, something else I noticed lately, probably the last couple of days, I'm seeing videos of the police mistreating black people or policing black people a little harder than they policing others. Um,
Talk
it-
about
I'm,
that.
I'm seeing it in New York. I don't know if it's happening in Detroit or if anybody had any experience with this in the city, but
Okay.
I'm seeing uh, they were handing out masks to white people, giving them gloves. They were piled up in the park, and the officers were wearing masks. And then I see a video again in New York, and it's in a black neighborhood, and I'm seeing people get slammed to the ground because they're not social distancing. So um, if that's happening, I would like to know that. If anybody got any videos or any proof of that happening here, I would like that information to move forward on. That's
Absolutely.
unfortunate that if that's happening, I don't think that really happened here, or I wouldn't really see it happening here because the Detroit Police Department is really good at having people that represent the people that they serve. So
Exactly. And
we
that's the key
don't,
points you hit on there.
yeah, we don't really have, from what I know of the Detroit Police Department, a lot of issues of um, racism towards the citizens. Like I know it happens. Like I'm not saying that it doesn't, but um, mass amounts of mistreatment. I don't think that happened because we got so many people that represent the community that they serve here in Detroit. So I would think that it's more isolated than anything here in the city.
Exactly.
But that's an issue that I saw happening that's been going on lately online. Also, if you have family members in prison, you want to stay in touch with that prison system on a regular basis just because of the
Okay.
high death rates that they have in the prison system that's going on, most notably in Ohio and in Michigan. That's something that we want to keep track of. Um, there's been, I think we got 1,400 cases in prison here in
Oh
Michigan.
wow.
And
And that's tough because you can't go out there.
right,
You know, you happen to deal with people over the phone, and again, those are another set of frontline employees who
hmm
are just as susceptible to the virus as anybody else, and have their concerns about even being a carrier and taking it back into their home.
right. And I think Ohio, which is our next door neighbor, state-wise, they got 3,900, almost 3,900, it's 3,890 cases in the prison. Um, so these are people kind of stuck, piled on top of each other, with nowhere to go. So I mean, if you have somebody that that is in there, you want to keep in touch, see how they doing, make sure they safe, make sure they got what they need. Because if you don't, they will be mistreated. The unfortunate part about dealing with things like this and dealing with these kind of issues is that when we don't show support for our family members, as whether it's in a nursing home or in a jail, they will not be treated fairly. So I think that it's important for all of us if we have people in nursing homes or in prison somewhere, just because they did something wrong or because they owe, don't mean that they should be mistreated. And so we need to at least do our due diligence and make sure that we always um, getting on the phone, writing those letters, and making sure that we are looking out for them um, to make sure that they okay.
That's a great point as well.
So what else you got on your mind?
Oh man, we talk about paying attention when you're out and about. Uh, as the weather is now starting to be warm, today we were hit 70 if I'm not mistaken. We know as the weather gets nicer, crimes tend to increase. People are, really out there. So just being safe in your home, making sure that you go around and you have some safety precautions for windows and doors in your home. Um, it's also time, just a safety note, it's time to change, if you haven't already, it's time to change out that batteries in those smoke detectors throughout the home. Usually I recommend doing that when you
Mm,
change the clocks. And I don't think we talked about that on the prior shows, but just
right.
something I think for our listeners, you should be focused on. And just again, talking about safety around your house, make sure you're safe, because those type of crimes will start to increase. Good thing is, which could be a bad thing, but the good thing is people are at home. So I
Hmm.
guess the next thing we talk about, and I want to get your input on it, is in the event that you do have a break in, you're in your home, what are some things you suggest to our listeners that are in a situation where they have a break in and encountering a burglar?
I know I kind of been talking about being peaceful and loving each other and all that, but if somebody break in your house, if I would hope that uh, people have weapons at home. If you don't, I would suggest that you get one and learn how to use that weapon in case something like that happens. Especially since um, uh, home invasions are down because everybody's at home. So I think that when we get back to work, the people may not know how you're moving and different things like that, and they could come in while you at home. And if that happens, the first thing I think that you should have a weapon in there to protect yourself. Because a phone call may not to the police department that may not be enough time for you safety wise. Because I don't know if you or if everybody know it or not, but when you call 911, that goes to dispatch, and then from the dispatcher it goes to a police dispatcher, from the 911 dispatcher, and then the police dispatcher in turn sends the run or your call to the available unit, if a unit is available. And keep in mind the Detroit Police Department is understaffed. And so your run or call may not be answered immediately if they already are on a run when you just happen to encounter somebody in your house during a break in. So just that process alone takes a few minutes. Then you got to think about a car getting a run and then getting to you. You're looking at 4 or 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes in that kind of span where you find yourself face to face with an intruder. So first, if you don't like guns or you don't have guns at home to use, I would say have a bat at home, or if you're good with knives, or if you cut people, and that's whatever you're good at. Um, you might want to consider being ready for something like that, because it's going to take the police some time to get to you. Not that they're BSing around, it's just the process of getting that run in. You may have a 10-minute gap before they get there from the time of you calling them. So that's something I think that people need to keep in mind, and the things that may happen. Somebody could try to come in your house as we start going back to work. So on top of you being there and being able to help yourself and being prepared, I also think that security measures at home will be important. If you don't have an alarm system, you should have one. If you like dogs, get a dog. Dogs are deterrents.
Absolutely.
That's a good thing to have. I know everybody don't dig security cameras in their house or around their house, but you can get cameras and where it'll alert you if somebody crosses a threshold close to your home. That's something else that you could do as a deterrent, or a security where that you could be notified if somebody is within the boundaries of your house.
Absolutely. And I can tell you, I have an app on my phone that does exactly that. And not only does it alert you when there's motion at your, your camera, it also shares incidents that have happened in your area.
Hmm.
And I don't know how many times I've seen just here, like I said, it's starting to increase where people are walking up and they're checking to see if car doors are unlocked. They're open or they're attempting to open garage doors. As things continue, next it'll be attempting to open doors to the house or checking to see if windows are unlocked. So again, talking about safety, um, making sure that you secure your home, especially in the evening when you're going to be asleep and not able to pay attention to maybe having the window open and that nice breeze in on a day like today. But I want
Right.
to go back a sec because you talked about people don't really like having possibly, a firearm in the house and getting a
Hmm.
bat or maybe getting something else. Uh, Take advantage of the internet, and if it is going to be a baseball bat that you're going to have in the house, look at some things that you realistically want to be able to try to do to use that bat in self-defense. There's videos out there, because realistically, if you think you're going to be just swinging at people in the house like you would out on the baseball field, that may not necessarily be the thing. And if you're not somebody that is comfortable with that or think that you can swing it with some authority, it can end up being a weapon used against you. And I guess that wouldn't be
Hmm.
any different than if you have a firearm, knowing how to use it
Right.
safely. So, we're not trying to scare people, but just saying, hey, if you run across these things, get yourself prepared. You know how your house is
Right.
set up. Have some things throughout that you can use to protect yourself and your family, whatever they may be. If it's a baseball bat, if it's knives, whatever it is you choose to do it, do your research and find out
Hmm.
ways for you, a typical person who is not a professional in it. How can you utilize it? A few
Right.
safe things that you can do, as well as if it's just got to be hand to hand. For you ladies out there, there's videos that'll show you how to get out of chokeholds and different things, uh, parts of the body that you should focus on when trying to stop an assault. Those things all come in handy. We just want you to not be naive and think that those
Right.
things aren't possible happening, no matter where you are. Because a lot of our listeners in the Metro Detroit area, we just keeping it real with you. Some great points.
Right. So we will be offering, our concealed pistol license classes once quarantine is over, but right now we are not doing that. So I think the best thing we can do is pass you some information, like in this setting, where people just start to think about um, what they can do if they find themselves in a situation like that. If you have a CPL, and a few people I've talked to that know, you can buy a taser if you don't want a gun. And
Absolutely, great
that
point.
taser can be used to defend yourself, or you can carry it anywhere you want to go if you have a CPL in Michigan. So if you're not into carrying firearms or you're just uncomfortable with it, uh, buy a taser and carry that taser with you. And generally, they will stop whoever you hit them with because it's a 5-second burst of pure pain. And most people,
Absolutely,
they can't
it's
handle
gonna stop you.
it. Yeah, so it'll generally drop whoever you hit it with, and then if they try to get up, just hit them with a little more, and then until they start to comply. So that's just another thing that you can utilize, or you can get some pepper spray. But keep in mind with pepper spray, if you're spraying somebody in your house and y'all close to each other, you're gonna get some too. So both of y'all will be snotting and coughing, and eyes will be burning if you
Great
get
point.
some of that spray. So that's something to be mindful of and to be careful of when you're trying to spray people, especially in close quarters, or even if you outside and you spray into the wind, you're in trouble. So
Absolutely, great
just some
point.
things you want to keep in mind when thinking about defending yourself, or in particular, we talking about defending your home.
Right. So yeah, most definitely some good points. Kind of like the comedy, or I'm sorry, the comedian Kevin Hart, but
Right.
talked about gun compartments. But more than
Yeah.
anything, just you know how your house is set up. You know the
Mhm.
places, and if you don't, just a great opportunity to kind of try to step outside of your house and look at your house, look at the back of it, look at the size of it, look at the front of it, and what you're looking for when you're looking at your house in all these different places. Look at it and say, okay, if I need to get into this house, for example, without going through a door, what ways could I get into this house based off of what I'm looking at here? So, for example, people have got their patio furniture. They haven't necessarily started putting it back out yet on display. So, guess what? It's stacked up over in the corner someplace. You've got your chairs and, your tables and other furniture stacked up in the corner. Is it stacked up to a point where somebody can actually just step on top of that and have access to a window?
Mhm.
Or do we have other things in the backyard that could be used as a ladder? Or do we actually have a ladder in our backyard that's
Right.
not tied down where somebody could pick it up and use it to get to other floors or other openings into your house? So just be
Mhm.
smart and looking at that in every part of your house from your exterior. Look at those things and say, are they opportunities for someone to get in? Another one, the air conditioning unit usually is on the side of the house near a window. Don't look at that window and think of yourself necessarily getting in it. These young people that are breaking in the homes, weighing a buck 40, buck 45, they can climb through that kitchen window that's, you know, 8 feet up off the ground that you don't think about you being able to get through it.
Mhm.
Criminal, they'll find a way. So take a look around your house, look at those things, and make sure you're being safe, or your home is safe in those type aspects. Anything you can do to deter someone from being able to get through, for example, your sliding windows, you can take PVC and put that in between the window where it slides from left to right so that when it's closed, you can only open that window a small amount, maybe for you to get a little bit of air, but not slide that window completely open. So those are the type of things that, I would
Right.
recommend to you safety wise on the exterior.
Trash cans too, for those people that
Great
have
point.
trash cans in their yard that are unsecure. I saw a few times where people rolled those cans over to the window and used it to prop themselves up and get into somebody's window. So if you don't have a security feature on the outside or inside of your window that will prevent people from getting inside, they will use, these certain little objects or even pots. If you got plants in your backyard, they use these kind of things to prop themselves up. So there's something to consider if you can secure those cans against your garage or against a fence or something like that, so it can't be moved until you're ready for it to be moved.
All good points.
So I see Candace asking about pepper spray or how I know about pepper spray. Well, I know about pepper spray because I was sprayed in the face on multiple occasions. When I was with the Detroit Police Department, it's a requirement that you get sprayed in the face so you know what it feels like. So I
Yeah.
was sprayed, and I will tell you, it burns like hell, and it makes all of the mucus come out of your nose. So you will be snotting everywhere, and your eyes will be burning, and it will make you cough uncontrollably if they get it into your mouth.
Right.
I've also been sprayed on police runs while somebody else was trying to spray somebody I was on the ground tussling with and got both of us. So
Exactly.
it happens. So that's why I mentioned for people to be careful when you are spraying somebody. You don't want any of that on you. And then when you go to shower later that night or whatever, it just reactivate the burn and your face is feeling spicy again. So that's why I'm just saying, it's a good weapon to have, but you want to be careful with it and make
Wow.
sure that
Great point.
you don't get it in your face, and you're not suffering trying to protect yourself.
Man, kind of off topic, but just thinking about some other things as we get back out into the public and start going out and shopping. Excuse me. Doing shopping in places, uh, your malls and going to restaurants again and being able to go inside. I was just thinking about it like, man, some of those all you could eat buffet type restaurants and some that's really big at the casino. I would have to think that those things are all going to go away for for now, most definitely the foreseeable future. We won't
Mhm.
have those things anymore. So just some things that we have to think about that, what are the safety precautions going to look like? So kind of being prepared and understanding that it's not going to look the same way when we get back out there.
No, I don't think so. But they just packed the Spirit flight full of people. So who knows what they gonna do?
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah, you had
Uh,
people beating each other up on Spirit the other day. So
I saw that, and then say they had the nerve to go and change their clothes to cover up any any markings that they were in a battle, and
right.
were able to all get back on the flight like nothing happened.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, you can't leave them in another state, so I mean, you got to take them home. Best you can do is probably separate them, but again, that's people being irritated with what's going on. I hear they was fighting because somebody was being too loud because somebody else was asleep. But when are people loud on the plane? Like I don't know. So uh, you know, just
Yeah,
be mindful
that's
of other
interesting.
people and people's space.
You're in a public place and you expect people to be quiet.
Yeah, while you sleep. And I mean, I saw the fight. Somebody, I don't know if the sleeper or the talker was getting that action, but
Yeah,
it
it
was
was pretty aggressive.
it was pretty bad. So I mean, and people, like I said, people were short and tempers are short. And I mean, if somebody asks you politely, I mean, you bothering them. I mean, they may have been bothering them. Have a little bit of respect, but you know how people are. People don't care about how you feel or your feelings and things get violent real fast. So just something to consider when we out amongst each other. Understand that things can get violent really fast over nothing, which is generally how it happens most times when situations go bad. So be respectful, be mindful of other people, and just try to stay out the way because
Exactly. Good point.
a fool will be a fool, and they want to start something anyway. And if you can help it, just get out the way because there's no need in you getting involved in something that you necessarily don't need to be involved with, unless you just had a really bad day and you want to show him how you feel about them bringing that action to you. Some people get exactly what they're looking for sometimes, and you know you just never know. So all I could tell everybody is to be careful because sometimes you might get what you're looking for and it may not go in your favor.
And unfortunately, those people who you're trying to extend that message to,
Mhm.
they usually don't remember it until after they have crossed that line. And they're sitting there lumped up saying, man,
Right.
somebody was just talking about letting people have their space and leave them alone.
Hmm. Yeah, because I mean, we don't know what people going through. You don't know what people dealing with. You could go out there and somebody may look like they could be taken advantage of, and they may have just said their goodbyes to somebody over the phone. Like, do you really want that energy? Probably not. And you don't know that. So I think the best thing to do is just stay out the way, stay out of people's way. Go about handle your business and go back home. That would be my advice to you. If you're gonna be out doing what you got to do, just handle your business, go home, give people their space and respect, and let them give you yours. And if you run into a fool, give him the lane, let him roll in it, and let him walk off and or do whatever he got to do.
Let me ask you another question. I see now that a lot of places, in order for you to go to work or go inside of them, they're requiring the mask.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about man, you talk about opportunity, and I know as a for those who don't know, I'm a black man. Going out in public. Today was pretty warm, but we've had some cool days, and so I put on my mask. You know, regardless of what type you have, you know, I've got a few different ones because they're becoming a thing now. I'm trying to get stylish with it, so I might have one to match my outfit. You know how I do. But I say all this, you know, I got the mask on, I got the hoodie on because I'm a hoodie guy, and I'm walking into TD's businesses, and we know as the stomachs get tighter, walking in with a mask on is not going to alert people
Mm-hmm.
like it normally would when everybody's got on the mask. So just some things that maybe you can suggest. And I mean, I don't even know if it is a suggestion. I hope I'm not giving anybody a suggestion. Say suggesting that many times without getting to a point. I'm sorry. But just people taking advantage of that and already having a mask on and committing crimes is what my point I was getting to.
I think generally I think we need to learn. We all have intuition. We all have that sixth sense where we know when danger is about or danger is close by. I think one thing we need to do is pay attention to those thoughts and those feelings when we know that something is wrong. I think that one thing we talk about in our course is to trust yourself. Um,
Okay.
when you feel like something is wrong, something probably is wrong. So if you think you need to get out of somewhere or stay away from something or someone, then like I said before, just give them their space and let them go do whatever it is they're going to do. Or if somebody come in and you just completely uncomfortable with their body language or their behavior, I mean, there's always nonverbal cues that give things away. Pay attention to those things and trust your instincts. I think that we need to get close and familiar with knowing those feelings and those thoughts that come across to us to save us. So whenever we in some kind of danger, trust yourself. I think that we need to do that more than anything else. So when that threat come up, we need to move and get out the way.
I think it's important too. You touched on those. Still trying to look at people, looking people in the eye if you're encountering them, especially if you're kind of in a one-on-one situation or not as many people around. Pay attention. Excuse me. Pay attention to people. You know, acknowledge them. Look people in the eye. Watch their hands if they're in their pockets, things of that nature. So, again, some great points.
I think, yeah, talking to people, looking at people in the face, recognizing that, letting them know that you see them is probably one of the most important things that you can do when it comes to encountering people that is looking to do you some harm. Because generally they don't want to be identified. So I speak to a lot of people, almost everybody I encounter. Um, I would say I was like door dashing some months ago, and a guy walked out of the pawn shop, and he was walking directly towards me for some reason. Like we was only two people in the parking lot, so like, you know, my thing was, you going the wrong way, you know. So I look at him and I speak to him, you know, and he's just rapping a song, but he's still coming towards me. So I'm ready. So I position myself to where if he want a problem, I'm gonna give it to him. So
Right.
and he watching me and I'm watching him, and then he walks by and he just keep going. So when he kept going, I waited until I didn't even get in the car. I just stood there and waited on him to pass by. Like, I'm not about to turn my back to you and get in the car. And I'm also
Exactly.
not I'm not going to put myself in a position where you can do something to me where I'm not looking. So I watched him the whole time until he passed me by, and he was singing his songs and he went about his business. Now, I don't know that he was looking to do something to me or what he wanted to do, but
Right. You never know.
drawing that direct line to me when I'm in the parking lot and you walk off to the sidewalk, like there was no reason for him to come towards me at all. So that's, a recent experience I had with somebody who seemed to be a little bit ignorant. Just the way he came out the store, the way he was singing the song he was singing, and the way he was approaching, it brought him to my attention. And then while I'm looking at him, I'm still looking around. Is he drawing my attention to pull my attention from somewhere else? So I think when you encounter things like that, or people like that, that um, appear to be a threat, make sure you keep, kind of looking at around your surroundings to make sure he not the decoy for somebody to come up on you, which is the way that some people like to rob you. They like to have one loud guy and then somebody come off on the side or something like that. But considering where I was, I mean, I would have, you just never know where somebody else could have came from. So you just want to be careful while you out. Trust your instincts. If you think you need to watch somebody, watch them, speak to them, let them know you see them.
Okay, that's good. Well, we covered quite a few topics today. What else on your mind? Did you have something else, or we got any listeners' comments?
Yeah, he didn't have on head. Somebody asked if he had on head. There were no headphones. He was just rapping a song and walking.
Wow.
Like he saw me. He was looking at me. So, I was, thought he wanted a problem, and it was one of those days where I was not ready to be out the way. I get into my moods. So, it was one of them days where I was ready to, if he want a problem, I'm ready to jump in, both feet first. Let's get it. So, but that didn't happen. So luckily that didn't happen, and we didn't have a problem. He went about his day, and I went about mine.
Oh, okay, good. Because that
Yeah.
could have been totally something different. You're right.
Right. So I think you always want to just pay attention to what you're doing, and, who you around, what you around. Being aware will a lot of times prevent you from being a victim. Like we talk about another story in a class, somebody we actually gave the class to was raped because she was, at the gas station on her phone, not
Right.
paying attention to the people around the gas station, and somebody just got in the car and made her drive off and took her somewhere and did what they wanted to do to her, because she wasn't alert. So just one of the things, we like to harp on is, just stay alert of what's going on around you, and, don't be on your phone, limit distractions as much as possible while you're out in public. Talk to somebody, after you get away from what you're doing, make sure you hands free, and, you give them a call or pull off away from if it's a bunch of people around, and then, send whatever messages you need to send when you in a clear and safe place. Because her situation happened at a gas station. There was a bunch of people there, and he left with her. And
Oh, wow.
people don't know, they're not paying attention like that. They don't know he didn't come with her. He just got in the car. You know what I'm saying? So and they don't know anything happened. So you are abducted at that point and being taken somewhere, and nobody know that you under duress. So just one of the
It's
things to
very
keep in
scary.
mind when you at gas stations or liquor stores, or and you parked in places, don't sit in those parking lots on your phone. Get out of there once you're done with your business.
That's a good point right there.
Yeah.
Man, I think we gave a lot of good information out there. Hopefully people understand that our goal is to really keep you on top of thinking about things that the criminals out there are hoping that you're not thinking about. So we like to kind of give you that friendly reminder that, hey, don't forget to go out here and be safe. Uh,
Right.
I touched on it talking about the criminal element of the mask going into places. But being safe when you go out there, wearing the mask. We talk about it all the time, wearing the gloves. And I know as it's getting warmer, it's going to be even more of a challenge. Most of those gloves, if you don't have the high-end rubber gloves that have a little bit of a powder solution in it to keep them somewhat dry,
Mhm.
but your hands get really sweaty in those, and then you need to take those off and be able to properly dispose of them. So all things that are really important that you have a game plan in place when you are out and about. Do you have multiple pairs of gloves? Do you have some type of sanitation, hand sanitizer? Even if you have to make up some yourself, taking either, keeping some alcohol with you or some peroxide, any of those things, and
Mhm.
even using paper towel and making your own sanitizers. Do something to be safe when you're out here in the public right now, because um, this pandemic is real for sure. And I know we beat this drum every week, but it's not over. It'll be interesting. And I guess another topic, I don't know if you have any insight on it, but I see some of the governors in some states are lifting restrictions or letting people go back to doing some things.
Mhm.
Whereas here in Michigan, we got a ton of people that are protesting, storming Capitol Hill.
Mhm.
So, if you don't mind, tell me a little bit about how you feel about that and what insights you might have, without getting too political, that is.
I mean, it's a slippery slope. I mean, people had a right to protest whatever they want,
Absolutely.
at their own risk. So if people want to go and uh, go to the Capitol and protest, then they have the right to do that, and they absolutely can go and protest at their own risk. I won't be there protesting. I don't necessarily see the point of protesting, but from what I understand, what they're doing, they feel like their freedom is being taken away. They feel like the government is encroaching on their right to live and do what they want to do. And if they want to be at risk, they feel like they should have the right to take that chance if they want to. The downside, I think, to that is when you take that chance, you put other people at risk, which is why the governor is forcing everybody's hands. I think that's the point of the orders. So, I mean, if they want to get together and protest, that's fine. Um, but my thing is that people just, stay safe. If it's an issue out there and it is an absolute real thing, I think
Excuse
that,
me.
most of us, are being careful and we are, keeping our distance and, taking the necessary precautions that we need to take and make
Exactly.
sure that we stay safe. And I don't hang out with any protesters. So, or, nobody in my house in particular is protesting or going out and standing at the Capitol with uh, hundreds or thousands of other people. So I'm not necessarily concerned about that. I mean, if that's what they want to do, that's fine. That's it's the we live in that kind of society where people can do things like that.
Great point.
See, there's a yeah, I mean they got guns. They got they going up there doing that's what they do. You know, um, you know, there's obvious differences between uh when white males protest and black males protest. Is
Oh, absolutely.
that's the country we live in. It's just what it is. So I think that they're not going to get the same treatment, uh, or response, that other people get. So, and that's just what it is. It's not, it's not something that we have any particular control over, except for us doing what we need to do and staying safe. I mean, if they want to go out and argue and fight with the police, that's fine. They can do that. Um, and then you know who they're kind of getting what they want. Things are opening up, and they able to go golfing and you know do some of the activities that they feel like they need to be able to do, and that's okay.
Right.
But and I just stay out of my way. That's all I can ask. I stay at home and, I stay in my space and I do what I need to do.
So another topic here as we get to the end of the show, when we talk about things we've seen in the media
They,
lately.
we getting the comments are coming in fast.
Okay, let's see what they got to say here. I'll get back to that topic on
I mean, I don't know how much it is political. It very well could be political. It could be that the governor is a woman and men don't like women in charge of anything. I mean, that it could be that,
I've heard, and I could see that absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, there are hundreds of people out there for hundreds of reasons. I mean, I don't think everybody is really out there under the same cloth, or even that is, they out there because she a woman. It could be many, many things. Some people out there because
Exactly.
they can't get a haircut. Some people out there because they're not able to make money. They can't open a business. They struggling. They're in an
Desperate
embarrassing
times.
situation. So they're not getting what they want. They're not getting what they used to having, and it's a tantrum, in my opinion, is what it comes off as a tantrum to me. But
A good point.
but there's there if the order, I think, is supposed to keep you safe, and that's what it's for. But then, just as there's white guys up there, there's also black people up there protesting too. So you just don't see them that much, but they out there doing the same things, throwing their tantrums as well, because they don't trust the government. They think it's 5G, or they think some other conspiracy is holding them down, and you know, um, they think Bill Gates trying to kill us. I mean, there's all kinds of things out there. People
Staying
protesting.
in the herd. Yeah, tons of things. So one other topic I want to get your opinion on, or see if you heard about it and tell me what you think, because with us talking about people demanding the opportunities to get back to being able to make a living. So some of the people that are, I guess you could say, fortunate, and in some cases you may be able to say unfortunately, are still out here and working and happen to deal with the public. And there
Mhm.
was a young lady that worked in the juvenile system here in Detroit, who
Mhm.
was told that she couldn't wear PPE protection inside of the facility, and that she needed to just count on faith, because you can't wear the mask inside of there. And she was forced to, as she felt, which I got to be honest, I feel very strongly the same, that she quit her job. Have you heard anything about that? And if so, what you think about it?
I have. I saw the video of the young lady requesting to be able to wear the mask in the work, and they told her that she needed to trust God, which is, I'm not against people trusting God, but I'm also against being safe. There's a ton of ways that we can look at that. They put her in a situation where she had to make a decision to go with her best interest and not theirs. And I think that whenever I mean, in life, your family should always come first. Uh, so if they forcing you to be in harm's way like she was, where she can't even protect herself, or to feel comfortable protecting herself with a mask, then sometimes we got to make those kind of decisions, those drastic decisions, and those choices that are life changing choices. I mean, that's in our city, having a job with the county is a career type job. So I think she probably making some decent money, and supporting her family with that job. And sometimes your family is more important. She says she got a sick mother and other family members that are ill, and they won't be able to stand about with coronavirus, and she don't want to put herself or them in that situation, or her kid for that matter. So I'm
Right.
100% in support of what she did. I think she made the right decision. Nobody should force you uh to believe in God, or to lean on faith instead of doing the right thing to protect yourself from harm's way. I just didn't get that line of thinking, or where the Wayne County juvenile system was going with telling her that God was going to protect her from, the coronavirus. That's like the military telling us to believe that Jesus is going to help you, um, and don't wear a bulletproof vest when you go out in the theater. You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
that doesn't make any sense. The protective gear is there for a reason. So I think she should be able to use it to make herself comfortable.
It's a great point. So on a lighter note, but I swear I'm gonna try to pull this around and bring it on home as we finish up on this lovely Sunday afternoon. We've been going on for a little bit over an hour, if I'm not mistaken. Um,
Mhm.
with the Michael Jordan special being on, and for any of you that don't know, it's called The Last Dance. So we're getting ready to see the next part of the series. So I'm excited. It's
Yeah,
actually going to be episode 5 and
particular.
6 coming
Yeah,
on tonight.
I'm from Detroit,
So
man, so I think you know where I'm coming from, no matter what you're getting ready to say.
right, so you might know where I'm going with this, might
Okay.
not.
All right.
But what I want to say is, and I'm gonna try to stay on topic here because I know this can be such a huge debate,
Mm-hmm.
and I got a point here. So we watched the special, and of course, without a doubt, the topic of who's truly the GOAT comes up, and we know that this is an argument that many people like to have for tons of reasons, more than anything, just because of their love for individual. And we know that the big topic is LeBron versus Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not bringing this up to open up a debate about who is or who isn't. Some interesting came up within that because, as we know, like I say, hear me out on this. We know that we just lost Kobe Bryant and his lovely daughter, who, by the way, rest in peace. And she just would have had a birthday yesterday, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
So condolences out to Kobe's wife and remaining siblings for that daughter. But they interviewed Kobe and they had him. They brought the question up to him, and he said, "No, the question is ridiculous." And I'm gonna tell you why it's ridiculous, and I don't need to be a part of it. It's not something that we can put our hands on.
Mm-hmm.
We can't have, uh, we can go off of stats, a lot of things, but then the stats are, subject to argument, all type of things. We could say, well, this one 6 rings, well, this one 9 attempts. All these things that people can go back and forth. But Kobe, it was so eloquently put when he said, if we want to have a ping pong contest, me and you against one another right now, because that's a tangible, I can put my hand on it, I can feel it, I can, you know, but any what ifs that people want to fight and scream over, is all it is a what if, because we can't physically have it. They can't, MJ and LeBron can't play a one-on-one and it would be fair because they're not at the same age.
Right.
Obviously, LeBron would beat Michael Jordan or whoever it is that you want to have this debate about. So bringing it on home, my point is this. For these people who are upset because they feel like they can't go back to work, I get that. But you also have to understand that within you going back and doing what you think you need to do, exactly Kobe's point. It's something you can touch and feel. You can also spread and contract this virus. Now, I know that may sound kind of interesting how I'm bringing it home, but my point is this. People can argue all they want that they think they need to go back to work because of this, or people need to be able to protest because of that. At the end of the day, you got to figure out a better way to go about it because you out here, you are getting a touch and feel, and the results may not be what you want.
Mm-hmm.
So people got to really consider that. And I think it's selfish for the people who are out there trying to go about getting their rights heard going in that manner. You know,
Yeah.
we we could figure out other ways to go about this where we can actually benefit people without them having to put themselves in danger. It's got to be other ways to protest because it didn't change anything. The order went through,
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
it got extended. So I mean,
right. So
the order is going off of numbers. I mean, like people, you can go out to the Capitol and ride up there with your guns and you can yell all you want, but until the numbers go down, we're gonna continue to be in quarantine. And
right,
I know there's people out there that argue about the numbers. I mean, here's the thing. Everybody that is considered to be dead from coronavirus probably didn't die from coronavirus. That is a
great
very
point.
realistic thing. The numbers are probably skewed in some way that's coming out of hospitals because there's a financial incentive, and we live in a capitalistic society where money can be made if they label COVID-19 on multiple people that's dead that may have died from something totally different. That's very, very possible.
Juking the stats.
Again, what is also very possible is there's people dying at home that don't go to the hospital from COVID-19. So it's another what if. So I think until we get a hold of the numbers and it started to taper off, we're going to be living under these circumstances until further notice. And unfortunate as that may be for a lot of people, it's our reality right now. So we need to kind of adjust to what we're dealing with and figure out how to maneuver in this environment. Because I mean, we're not out doing security work and making money right now. We on a podcast talking to people and telling everybody how to be safe. I think that's the best thing that we can do right now. And
Absolutely.
luckily, we have other streams of income that we can rely on to keep our households afloat, which is what we talked about a week or so ago when we talked about having some financial literacy about ourselves and multiple streams of income and investing and things like that. That's something that we definitely need to keep doing and keep sharing with each other so that when hard times come up, we're not in a situation where we too hurt. So if something, I mean, hopefully nothing like this bad happens again, but we find ourselves in another bind or another situation. Hopefully if we listen and we do all the right things, it won't hurt that bad the next go round if something were to happen.
Right. And hopefully people bear with me as I tried to bring it home using that analogy, but you kind of touched on it again there for me, the actual physical part of it, touching and feeling, as we said, the people that are fortunate enough to be able to still make an income. Yeah, it's good, but are you being safe? Are those things going to really benefit us in the long run?
Right.
So great points. Great points.
So
So let
with that being said, I don't see any questions. If anybody got any questions right now or any statements they want to make, please feel free to drop those statements in the comments. If I could see them, I'm in a couple of different chats, so I don't really see anything happening. I just want to say thank you to everybody again that listened to us go on our rants today about what was
absolutely.
hopefully we pass some information to you that is helpful to you and your home, or just some things to think about when you're out and about once the quarantine is lifted. Maybe we able to um, provide you with some kind of safety resources or safety mindset, so when you go out you're not putting yourself in harm's way or becoming an easy target to people who will be looking for targets in a very target rich environment once the quarantine is lifted. The criminals, like I said, they haven't been making the money they've been making, so they're gonna have to come out here and take yours. So if you don't want it to be yours, be
Right.
mindful of where you are and what you're doing. If you carry a weapon, be comfortable with that weapon. Go to the range when ranges are available. And when you're at home, make sure that your home is always secure. And turn your lights on in front of your house if you have lights. It's hard to break in a house if it's lit up all around the house. So just
Exactly.
one of those things. So hopefully we provided you with something useful, something of value. again, thank you to everybody that listened to us and everybody in the comment section. We appreciate you tremendously.
Hey, and thank you and welcome for all of the new listeners that we picked up over the last few weeks. We thank you for tuning in. We appreciate it. Spread the word. Continue to comment as Dan said. We really appreciate it.
Yep. And as always, all of our podcasts will be on YouTube under Athena Protection Service. Just go there, like and subscribe. You'll catch everything that we post. Besides just the podcast videos, we do try to get some helpful security and helpful videos up or educational videos up. That should be of some use to you.
Great point. But man, you enjoy the rest of your evening. Before I go, man, one last thing, and I promised myself I wouldn't forget to say this every week. Just really want to say thank you to you and all my personal family members who've been there and supported myself, and I myself supporting them. Just want to say I love you guys and thank you so much for the continued support. And for anybody out there listening, you know, it could be the smallest thing that you do to help out a family member, you know, dropping off a Sunday dinner or, you know, being safe, leaving on the porch, or, you know, grabbing a couple of bags of groceries when you go out and dropping them off to a friend or a family member, you know, being again safe, maybe dropping them off on the porch. So those things are still things that people need right now. You know, we're, you know, 6, 7 weeks into this pandemic. Continue to think about others, and you never know how much that means to somebody out there. Like I said, I personally have experienced some of those blessings, and just want to continue to say thank you to the people. And I myself will continue to share those where and when I can, passing that on. But most definitely, shout out to those people and you yourself personally, my cuz.
Thank you. Thank
So
you. It's always a pleasure to help out people whenever we can. So, you know, thank you.
yeah, so everybody enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Get ready for Michael Jordan special if you're a sports fan. Even if you're not a sports fan, it's a great opportunity to go back in time. The year is 1998. Some great things going on back there in 98. You know, I was getting ready to embark on a new century. Thought those were some great times. Most definitely get a kick out of some of the fashions from back then.
Right.
That you see
Everybody,
from the players and the
everybody
fans.
got on big suits.
Yeah, so enjoy that. And if you haven't had dinner yet this evening, enjoy your dinner. I know it's kind of late for some, but just and if you can get out here with this last little bit, we probably got about a good 30, 35 minutes of daylight left. Get out there and have your evening walk or sit on your porch for a minute. Take in some of that nice fresh air before the night ends.
My mama on here hating on Mike Jordan. They leave Jordan alone. Everybody has a good night. Michael Jordan is he all right. I mean, I don't, you know, he's great. You know, I'm from Detroit. I can only give him so much.
Exactly. We don't have time for that. That'll be another topic.
Right.
Everybody enjoy your evening. Take care.
All right.